Christofferson here again with another thoughts video. Haven't done one of these, I don't know, quite a while, I guess. Every now and then I just do one of these. It's something's going on in the music world, and everybody's talking about it, and just give my little 2 cents on it. Whether anybody wants to listen to it or not is up to them, but doing it anyway. Got a new microphone, so I'm kind of testing it on this, and I figured, why not? Everybody's got the day off today. It's 4th of July and getting ready to go out and do some stuff. But I just watched another video that somebody had commented on the Rick Beato thing. And what the Rick Beato video is I'm talking about that's trending right now is him talking about how music today is not good. It doesn't compare to the older stuff. And I think a lot of people are misinterpreting what he's saying. And this is just my 2 cents on it. So, and I'm really good at babbling, as anybody who follows my channel knows. So that's all I'm going to do is just train of thought and give my 2 cents on it here. It's basically, I think what he's referring to is that music today has no value because it's so readily available. And this is my interpretation of what he's saying anyway. And that it's just so easily available that it's free. It's just constantly everywhere. It's easy to make. It's easily, easy to distribute. If you're an artist of some kind, whether anybody's going to listen to it or not, it's just easy to get out there. And how people just don't value it as much. And also, I think what he's also referring to is how the pop music, the charts, the top, 10, 40, whatever it is. He's always talking about those and how there's really no substance to those songs, and the music itself is really not good. So I think it's kind of a combination of things he was talking about here. And I've had, opinions on this a little bit myself. I don't think that music is valued as much at all, quite honestly. And, and as far as music, I'll get quickly out of the way. The top 10 throughout time has always been what is going to appeal to the masses, what is the most easily memorable, catchy. Sometimes things, become viral, whatever it is today, or they were popular back in the day just because, who knows, they just were extremely, mind-numbingly catchy. It was like being brainwashed with hearing the same thing over and over again. And it was, record companies like to push things down our throats too. That's just always been that way. There's always going to be those weird anomalies in the top 40, but for the most part, it's like there's simple, quick songs, 3 to 4 minutes, and a very memorable, catchy melody. That's just, as far as what I've seen, the majority, like 95% of that type of music has always been that. Like I said, there's always like an anomaly here or there. And it's just, I don't think there's much difference there. That people find a formula, the cookie cutter formula, and they follow it until people get sick of it, and then they find something new that people are grasping onto, and the record companies push that. I think they do that with Spotify and YouTube, iTunes, all that. I think the record companies are still in control of that a lot. Ask any artist trying to get discovered on any of those platforms, and there's always the exception, of course, but for the most part, I think you hear a lot of those people just aren't being heard either. So I still think record companies have more control than I think they let on. The money, however, is not in the music anymore. I think it's more in the merchandising. So if they can push an artist and get their music out there, and if they have to push it out there for free, you can sell their stuff, shirts and concert tickets and whatever. It's weird how it's flip-flopped. Bands used to release an album, and then they go on tour to promote the album to make money by selling the album. Now it's kind of like, well, they make an album, maybe, and go on tour, and the album's their excuse to go on tour and make money on tour and pushing the merchandise more. Although, man, I went to a Collective Soul concert here last week, and the merchandise for that one even was high. I'm like, well, I don't need a shirt that bad. So, I didn't buy anything personally. There were a few people there that were, but, and I know the venues take a cut, so the prices have to be high. It's just crazy. Just everybody's got to have their hands in the money. It's all about money. So the fact is that music is just out there. It's not hard to get. So yeah, and I've said this about, I've said this for years, that not that I'm like the old man screaming at the clouds or, get off my lawn type guy, but I feel sincerely feel bad for the younger generation not being able to experience or appreciate music for the most part like I was able to. And what I mean by that, when I was a kid, I remember discovering like the music I liked. I bought a cool album. I thought it looked like the album cover was really cool. I can tell you what it was. It was Jefferson Airplane's Early Flight. I remember buying it, had a pterodactyl on it. I loved the movie Rodin when I was a kid, and I'm like, oh, that looks like Rodin. So I bought it. Not the heaviest rock album in the world, but it was rock and roll and, folk rock, whatever. And I was like, well, this is different. And I don't remember my parents ever playing anything like this. And I listened to that album over and over and over. And that was just kind of my gateway into, getting into rock music. And the next biggest event for me was we had a fun fair or something at my elementary school. So this tells you how far back this goes. You had to throw a football through a tire, and if you did, you get a record that the local record station was handing out, and they were 45s. And I had a little tiny record player at home, and stuff my parents were giving me to listen to was nothing like what they were giving away at this thing. I remember I can tell you, I can remember the records that I won because they were handing out handfuls of them at the end. If you even hit the tire with a football, the guy was giving out handfuls of 45s, and a lot of it was crap. But I remember Boston, Don't Look Back was one of the singles. The Kinks' Rock and Roll Fantasy was in that pile. There was an Argent one in there. There was a band Prism. There was a couple blues 45s in there, and I just remember getting all those, and I still have these records, and just listening to those. And there was Kiss was in there. Shout It Out Loud was in that. So I was young, man. I was like single digits when I got all this stuff. So that was like when I started really collecting music and appreciating what I thought was my music. And I remember started mowing lawns, because my parents did not buy me anything when it came to that. They didn't get me anything. So I got, babysitting jobs. I dog sat, mowed lawns. I even had a paper route when I was too young to have one, 11 years old. And then the guy that had the paper route didn't want to do it most of the time, so he just let me do it. And then when I got old enough, I took it over. I mean, all my money went into music, and I started playing guitar when I was like 11 years old. And I remember buying my first bass for $25. So, I mean, everything I got, I just wanted to invest it in music. And I would stay up late listening to the radio and taping songs off the radio and just discovering it. And it was a big deal going to the store. And, you only had a certain amount of money, and you could only buy a certain amount of stuff. So you really appreciated what you were buying. And if you got an album that was like a gatefold or a picture disc, or it had a bunch of liner notes in it, I can't even explain the bonus or excitement that was. So I think that's what he means by valuing the music, because if it was just given to me for free, I probably wouldn't have taken care of them as well. I probably wouldn't still have them. I think that's what he means. When you really take your hard-earned money and you put it into something that's a physical thing you can hold in your hand, and you look at it and you read through it. I love that. I still love it to this day. If there's an album or a band that I like, that I know they're coming out with a new album, I'm buying it. That's all there is to it. I buy a lot of stuff from bands that I don't know and end up not liking too, but unfortunately, when I was a kid, I couldn't afford to do that. I bought all the magazines. I'd read up on what they sounded like, and based on what I read in a magazine, I would go out and buy an album and hope it was good. That's how I found Metallica. They weren't playing Metallica on the radio. So when I got that one, it was a shock to the system, but I couldn't stop playing it once I got it. So I'm going on a little bit longer than I intended. That's what I always do, but I kind of, feel that that's what Rick was alluding to. I still think there's a lot of good music out there, however, a lot of good music. It's just not the stuff you're playing on Spotify and, iTunes or whatever. I personally don't like Spotify and iTunes. I think the music sounds way too compressed and bad on there. However, I do use those platforms to maybe check out something that if I don't know anything about a band and I'm going to go spend some money on it, it's nice to be able to hear a little bit of it. I won't listen to an whole album or anything like that. There actually used to be a shop here in town that they'd have a few select cassettes they'd put aside, and you put the headphones on, pop in the cassette, and give it a listen before you bought it. And that's kind of how I use Spotify. I used to use Pandora when it first came out, but I didn't use it as a playlist. I used it as like a tool to find new bands, because they would, play. You put in something you liked, and then they would play something similar to that. And I found a few bands doing that way. I still love finding new music, and like I agree with Rick on this one. New music is anything I haven't heard before. I just started listening to Gentle Giant kind of like in-depthly. I never listened to Gentle Giant. They've been around forever, but it's new to me. So new music is music I haven't heard yet. So I like discovering stuff. I still love discovering stuff. There's still bands out there making great music. One that's I'm just rambling here, but the stuff that pops into my head is Butch Walker. You're not going to hear him on the radio, but the last album he put out, it's called Glenn. It's like a story. He wrote all the songs on piano, and it tells like a story, and it's kind of a concept album. I guess it actually really is a concept album. Love that album, but no, I don't know anybody that knows that album. So at least not around here. Unfortunately, I live in kind of a area where people don't expand their horizons too much. And there's one record store in this town. I got to drive like an hour to get to a record store. So not quite like it used to be. There used to be a place in town we used to all hang out and trade records. Actually, traded records at the record store. It was a cool place. It's gone. I miss those. The experience and the joy of finding music with friends, I think, is just not. I don't think that's the way it used to be, and I feel bad for people not being able to find music that way. It's just given to them, handed them on a plate, and that's what I think this boils down to, the not appreciating it that way. Obviously, there's always exceptions. There's always going to be people that love it. Younger people, there's going to be the odd one here and there, but I think that he's just talking big picture. So anyway, I keep going on and on and on, but that's my just 2 cents on the thing. I probably could say a whole bunch more. I had a whole bunch more in my head, but I'm looking at the 12-minute mark right here now. I think that's probably where I'm going to leave it. I'm sure there's going to be people that have their thoughts and opinions on this one, so please share them below. Not intended to be an argument. This is just my thoughts on it. I love music, and that's the reason I started this channel, was to share music. Actually, that's really the first one that I ever wanted to do, was for the poor boys. And I just wanted to do it, like I call that one the Overlooked Gems, where I share music that I love, that I think maybe people didn't know about, and help them discover cool bands. I'm not getting rich off this channel. I'm never going to, I don't think. It's just fun to do. So, and it's fun to help people find music, and it's fun when people recommend stuff to me, because I have checked out music that people have recommended to me. I actually had, some of these reviews that I do, I've had people from the band comment on it and let me know more about them, and things maybe I didn't know about them as well. So it's just fun. I've used this as a tool to help people find music and help me find music. So I just hope that I can keep doing this, and I can. It's fun. Not making any money on it, so it's not any loss one way or another. It's just I love music that much that I just want to talk about it and help people find it and help myself find more. So there's a little bit of selfishness involved there too. But anyway, as always, like, share, and subscribe. Yeah, if I could talk, to keep this music alive. And what I'm talking about is all good music. And there's only two types of music. Music I like and music I don't like. I'm not going to even say it's good or bad. It's just music I listen to and music I don't listen to, because I'm sure everybody else feels the same way. So anyway, until next time, we will see ya.